I'm honored right now to have Lee Zeldin with us, the former New York congressman. Of course, he almost took down a giant and did something very unusual in the Empire State, becoming in just a few points of taking this bluest of blue states and becoming its governor. He is with us right now. Congressman, always good to have you. When you look at what's going on down on the in your old haunt there, and with a good many of those Republicans saying, well, you would make a darn good choice for them. They'd be going outside the well, so to speak. But you are a former member. I meant to ask you when I would get you on again, whether you would entertain that if asked.
What we're watching right now with this 12th ballot is the best round so far for Kevin McCarthy. And he is going to be showing a lot of progress, a lot of momentum coming out of this vote. As you just pointed out, not just Byron Donalds, but 5 in total so far, as they're only up until the D's in the alphabet, who previously opposed Kevin McCarthy are now supporting Kevin McCarthy. We'll see what the count ends up being by the end of the alphabet. But as your viewers are watching on screen, in that distance in the House floor chamber, that's where the House Republicans sit. You'll see them stand when a vote is cast by Kevin McCarthy for himself. Other than that, every time you see a standing ovation during this vote, it's for each individual member who's flipping their vote from previously against McCarthy to now for him. And all the House Republicans are giving that person a standing ovation. So I think that Kevin's going to be coming out of this round with more momentum than he's had in the prior 11, and we'll see where that goes.
And it's important to your point, Congressman, because, you know, he had 20 no votes in prior votes, right? I mean, if he whittles that down to 14 or 15 or even fewer, it is a sign of progress. He would need, obviously, more to jump and go to him, but it might start that process, right?
Yeah, I think this buys him more time. What happens if you get stuck on 21 for too long? The people who are supporting you start getting more antsy. You start seeing that with Ken Buck, congressman from Colorado, who was saying that, you know, as going into the 8th vote or the 9th vote or the 10th vote, he was going to stick with Kevin, but he and others might start to get antsy, and then that number grows. So I think it gets Kevin more time. But one thing to look as far as that next level is that you have a number of members who say, listen, I don't care whether it's the 12th round or the 100th round, that they are never going to vote for Kevin McCarthy. Now, here's the interesting point. Once Kevin has more votes than Hakeem Jeffries, they could make a motion to change this from a majority vote to a plurality vote. In order to actually pass that motion, you're going to need a majority. So in order to do that, you're going to need some Democrats to vote for it. That might be their play to try to get Hakeem Jeffries. The one other thing to look at if they do go into votes through the rest of the day and into the weekend is that you have some members who have now left town. Wesley Hunt just had a baby. It's being reported that there are some complications. He just went home to be with his wife. That impacts the total number that's needed for Kevin McCarthy. It's been reported he needs 218 until Victoria Sparks voted present. That changes to 217. Every couple people who are either voting present or not there at all, that lowers the threshold of what McCarthy needs. But if it's one of his own supporters who are leaving town, that's not as much of a gain as if it's a detractor or a Democrat.
Congressman, as you're speaking here, we're showing the board right now. It appears right now at this 12th vote that Kevin McCarthy has failed to get enough votes to win the speakership, with 6 voting against him. But we're watching, and what makes this a rather dramatic development in this long-going impasse here through 11 prior votes, is he has consistently gotten 20 colleagues who would find somebody else, whether, you know, depending on the day, but not him. If he whittles that down to half that number, 2/3 that number, but not 20, not 21, that could be a significant development. We're watching that very, very closely. But I am curious, Congressman, what you think got us to this. We understand that McCarthy made a lot more concessions. In fact, pretty much everything that this caucus wanted, if you want to call them that, by and large, very conservative representatives. And whatever they wanted, he gave them. And I'm just wondering what you make of that and what might have closed the deal here, if it gets to that point.
I think you have some members like Chip Roy, for example, who has been articulating very well specifics of what he would like to see in order to not just challenge the status quo, but change the status quo and how the House is run. These changes that are being made are changes that are going to, in my opinion, help the House move forward with a new day and be stronger than it's been, than we've seen in years past. So that's good. But you also have some people who, it doesn't matter what you change, what rules are changed, they're just not going to vote for Kevin McCarthy. There's personality issues, there are trust issues. They want somebody else.
You served their. I'm just wondering, what are those issues? I've heard many who chafed at his using the Speaker's office while this was being debated. Others who said that he was too arrogant, didn't listen to them in the summer when he might have thought he'd have a much bigger majority than he does. I don't know what it is, but you've been there. Is that warranted, this personal animus that you hear from so many of these members? I'm talking about that core 20 group.
And I think in that core 20 group, you have a lot of people who have nothing against Kevin McCarthy. They just feel like this is their opportunity to be able to get changes, to have more of a seat at the table, to make sure that bills are read before that they're voted upon. They want to break out appropriations bills so that they're voted individually. One of the changes is that motion to vacate from 5 to 1. Some people are saying they don't want to see that because it'll be held over the Speaker's head. If the Speaker is confident that they're doing a good job, then not only should they not fear it, but if that vote is called and they win it, they're actually coming out of that stronger than they were. So for many of the 20, I don't believe that it was personal, but for a few, it certainly is. And they are, the best ones to speak as to whatever their personal issues are with Kevin McCarthy. What's interesting is that when you change a leader, and the next person who comes in just needs to get the most amount of votes, it's easy. The next round, somebody else gets the most amount of votes, they're in, you move on. In this case, if you had a 13th round and Kevin McCarthy wasn't in it, let's just say Steve Scalise was the next name that was put forward, Steve Scalise could get less votes than Kevin McCarthy is getting right now. I don't know. But you can actually end up with more chaos in future rounds. So it's good that this is coming to a head right now and trying to figure this out because it's not like round 13, all of a sudden you have a new speaker if Kevin steps aside.
Well put. Lee Zeldin, good catching up with you again. The former New York congressman, former New York gubernatorial candidate, came oh so close to doing something historic in New York.